Yeah, morning all. Yes, the last class just we are discussing about Python Software Foundation. It's a non-profit organization devoted towards Python community. It was launched in the year 2001 to foster the development of Python. So the president Guido van Rossum, the personality who developed or who introduced Python, and headquarters in Delaware, US, and official website python.org. The versions, right? One version, two version, three version. Three version is the version that we are using currently. Latest version of Python 3.10. Okay. Python installation I was showing you in the last class, right? Python execution modes, two modes of execution, right? Two modes of execution, interactive mode, batch mode. Here we directly type Python statements on the interpreter and we interact with Python statement by statement. Batch mode means we write set of statements within the editors and our IDEs and save it by using .py extension and later submit it to Python. And later we submit to Python, right? Yes. Various editors where we can write the Python code within the notepad. We can write and create a .py. In edit plus we can write a Python code and save it by using .py. And in Linux environment, vi and nano editors, right? Vi and nano. And what are the various IDEs supported by Python? In real time we use IDEs, right? Various IDEs. Okay, like PyCharm, PyDev, Commodore, Spider, Eclipse, NetBeans, Jupyter, Atom, VS Code. So I'll be showing you how to work with these IDs, most of these IDs, how to download, how to install, and how to write the code on it, and how to execute the code within this, right? Like PyCharm, Spider, Jupyter, Atom, VS Code, right? PyCharm is the mostly used one, as Python used for different environments. So different IDs are used. So as different IDs are used, different. Yes. So now developing the first Python application using editors. Developing the first Python application. Developing the first Python application within the editors. Developing the first Python within the editors, right? Example like Notepad. Developing, okay. Example Notepad, right? Open Notepad. And type the following Python statements and type the following Python statements. Up to now, we didn't discuss any Python, right? Any Python fundamentals. So just I'll take two values, x as 10, y as 20. And I want to perform some kind of arithmetic operations, right? Right. Print x plus y, print x minus y, print x into y, print x by y, right? So addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. Taking two values and performing addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. Copy this to a separate notepad file. You type this within a separate notepad file. Try to type some Python statements within this. Save it. File, save. I created a separate folder for this batch in the last class. So within the C drive, right? Within the C drive, like Python 7 a.m. Python 7 a.m. batch. Right. Sample one dot py, sample1 dot py, yes, dot py. Save as sample1 dot py, and now submit this file, and now submit this file to Python. So now submit this file to Python as save as sample, and now submit this file to Python as right. So just to go to the command prompt, and see where you are saving this folder, right? Python 7 AM batch. Go to the command prompt. Type Python. Press Python. Type Python and don't say enter. Go to that interactive mode and submit, right? Submit your code to Python, right? Yes. C drive /c/ Python. So Python, see the observe here, right? C/ in C drive Python 7 AM batch. Within that sample1 dot py. What is that? Sample1 dot py. That is the file. Say enter. It gives the result 10 plus 20, 10 minus 20, 10 into 20, 10 by 20. 10 plus 20, 10 minus 20, 10 into 20, 10 by 20. Yes, 0.5. Okay. Addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. Just open Notepad, type your code, save it as .py, and just to go to the command prompt, type Python and submit the path. In which drive, in which folder, and what is the file name. Give that, get the result. But here, what is your observation? But here, we are writing the code at one place. We are writing the code at one place and executing at the other place. We are writing the code at one place and executing at the other place. Writing the code at one place and executing at the other place, right? Yes. You're writing the code at one place means you're writing within I'm writing notepad. You're writing within the notepad and executing at other place means command prompt. But to write and execute at the same place, right? To write and execute at the same place, we have IDLE. We have IDLE, which comes along with Python installation, which comes along with Python installation. Using which we can work with both interactive and batch mode, using which we can work with both interactive and batch mode. Using which we can work with both interactive and batch mode. So let me show you how to open this ideally, how to write the code and how to execute the code, right? So whenever we install Python, we get IDLE. So within that IDLE itself, we can write the code and we can execute the code, right? Instead of writing within the notepad and again submitting within the command prompt, right? Just to go to this start programs where your Python is installed, right? Where your Python is available, right? Python 3.10. Python 3.10. Okay, just click this Python 3.10, right? Okay, whenever you open this, you will get this Python shell, right? So within the start programs, if we click this ideally, right? Once again, I show you, right? In this, within the start programs, if you click, go to this Python, right? Python 3.10. First thing what we see, IDLE, integrated development environment, right? Yes. Click it, you will get this Python shell. If you want to work with interactive mode, you can work with the interactive mode here. 3+4, sorry, 3+4. Or even any valid Python statements you can type and you can interact, right? But if you want to work with batch mode, file, new file, new file, right? Yes. Okay, here itself we can write and here itself we can execute the code, right? Yes. So here I'm writing x as 10, y as 20. I just pasted the code here, x plus y, x minus y, x into y, x by y. Taking two values and perform arithmetic operations, x plus y, x minus y, x into y, and x by y. I'm writing the code here itself, right? File, save it, save the code, right? Yes, within this C drive, I created a separate folder, Python 7am, right? Okay, try to say like sample2.py, sample2.py, right? Here you got run option. Can you see here run option available here? Run module. You got the output 10 plus 20, 10 minus 20, 10 into 20, 10 by 20, right? Yes. Run module. Once again, check it. 10 plus 20, 10 minus 20, 10 into 20, 10 by 20. In this way, you can work within this ideally, right? You can type the code here itself. We can run the code here itself, right? Fine. So later I discuss with how to work with the IDs, right? When we are done with a little bit of technical content. So fine. Now coming to this next, I'll be discussing the basics of this, coming to this basics of Python, right? Python data types. Python data types, right? Right. Every organization, right? Every organization use case has got data and operations, has got data and operations. Every organization use case has got data and operations. Data represented, right? Data represented using data types or variables. Data represented using data types or variables. Operations, right? Every organization has got data operations. Data using data types or variables. Operations represented using functions. Operations represented using functions. For example, if I take any organization, for example, if I take example of a bank, right? Bank consists of customers and employees. Customers and employees. Customers has got data and operations. Customers has got data operations. Data using data type. Data using data type. Customer name. Account number. Okay, this is what data represented using data types or variables. Represented using data types or variables. Operations, they are represented using operations like deposit operation, withdraw operation, transfer operation. All this they are represented using functions. Functions we discuss later, but as of now, data types are variables, right? Yes. Similarly, employees also has got data and operations, right? Employees also will have data and operations, right? Employees like data and operations. Employees data, employee ID 101, employee name, designation, manager, right? So in this way, salary, all this like employees data represented using data types or variables. Operations represented using functions like calculating tax, calculating net sal, all this, right? These are functions represented, operations represented using functions. So now, like, what do you mean by data types or variables? Data types are variables. How their variables are, how the variables are defined in Python, right? So generally, data types or variables are used for representing data, customer data, employee data. Okay. If you compare the other programming language like C or C++ or Java, see this other programming language with Python, right? Python supports dynamic data types. Python supports dynamic data types. Python supports dynamic data types. X equal to 10. In other programming language, if you want to define a variable X, int X, I need to say int X. Y equal to 4.5, I need to say like float Y, something in decimals. If I want like string of HELLO, hello, like string Z. So without these data types, the variables cannot be created in other programming languages. Compulsory, we need to define the data types. But here in Python, no need to define any data types. Directly say X as 10, say Y as 4.5, Z as hello. No need to define it. Dynamic data types here in Python. So here what kind of variable X is means based on this data type defining, you are saying it as integer. What kind of variable Y is means based on the data type defining, you are saying it as float type, it's string type. But here what kind of variable X is? In Python, how can you say what kind of variable X is means what value you are assigning to it? What value you are assigning to X? If it is integer value, integer variable gets created. If you're assigning a float value, then why is a float variable going to get created dynamically during runtime? Okay, hello equal to Z, right? What kind of variable Z is? Okay, string, right? You're assigning a string of values. Just 1 second. Yes, right. Sorry. Yes. So in Python, dynamic data types, what value you are assigning to X based on the value assigned, the variable is going to get created dynamically. So here in Python, there is a function given type of X. Type of X is integer. Why it is integer? Because you assigned an integer value. Type of Y. Type of Y is float type. Why type of Y is what? Float type. Why it is float type? Because you assigned a float value. Type of Z. String type. Type of X is int. Type of Y is float. Type of Z is string. Because what value are assigning, based on the values assigned, the variables are created dynamically here in Python, right? So now I'm going to discuss 4 cases here, right? Yes. So just to demonstrate how exactly what happens internally when we are defining variables here in Python. Okay. Case 1. Whenever I define a variable like x equal to 10, internally one object is going to get created with value 10. One object gets created with value 10 with some address. The address is given to x. Here what x is storing, don't say like x is storing 10. X stores the address. Observe here, x stores the address. Here 3 things you need to understand. Whenever I say print x, right, it goes to that address and prints whatever content present at that address. Prints the content at that address. So print x prints the content at that address, whatever content present at that address, okay, that content, right? 10. If I want to print the address itself, there is a function given by Python, id function, id of x. Id of x nothing but address of x. Prints the address of x. The address of x is what? 103070, right? Yes. Next, print type of x. Type of x means prints the data type of x. Data type of x is what type? Integer type. Okay, 3 things you need to understand here. Print x prints the content at that address. Id of x means prints the address. Type of x means what type, what value are assigning to x. Integer type, right? Yes. So from next cases, observe these other cases. Now, case 2. Understood case 1 that everyone, any query in this? So how a variable is defined, how to print its content, how to print the address, how to print the type. Print x, address of x, type of x. Case 2. Now I want the sessions to be interactive, right? So everyone try to answer. If I say like x has 10 and y has 20, how many objects are going to get created internally? Try to answer, right? X is 10, y is 20. How many objects? You can just give a responses through voice or through chat panel. Anything is fine, right? Try to keep responding. X has 10, right? 2 objects, right?
Two.
But Yes. For 20, one more object. So going to have some, it is going to occupy some address, physical memory location address for y equal to 20, 104090, some addresses. Now try to answer what is printx. Printx goes to that address and prints the content. What is that? 10. ID of x.
Address of the text.
Address of x 103070. Type of x. Data type of x. What type? Integer type. Now try to say for print y. Print y.
20.
20. Address. ID of y
1040.
104090. Type of y. Type means what data type it is. Type of y is what? Integer type. So here, if you, what is your observation here? Two different variables x, y, with two different values, then two different objects with two different addresses. Two different variables with two different values, two different objects with two different addresses. Now observe this. Case 3. Sorry, case 3, right? X is a 10, y also 10. Now try to answer how many objects created internally. How many objects are going to get created?
2, sir.
Everyone try to answer. X is 10, y is 10. How many objects?
2, sir.
So here, observe carefully here. Only one object is created here. Only one object with value 10 is going to have some address. The address is given to x. Up to here, it's fine. Before creating object for y, it checks any object with value 10 is already available in the memory. If available, the same address will be given to y. If not available, a new object gets created with new address. X value is 10, y value is 10, z also 10. Assume. Don't think like three objects are going to get created with. Only one object gets created. Its addresses are given to x, y, z. For example, x value is 10, y is 20, z is 30. How many objects created? If 10, 20, 30. 3 objects in that case. But 10, 10, 10, only one object. X, y, and z, they are going to share the same contents. They are going to share the same contents, right? And the addresses. They are going to share the same content, 10, 10, 10. They are going to share the same addresses. If I say like print x, print y, and print z, all these three are going to print the same value, 10. The address is also same, right? Address of x, address of y, and address of z. 103070. Please be in mute. Type of x, type of y, type of z. All these are integer type only. So they are going to share the same content, same address, and same types. This is case 3. Observe this case 4. Sorry. I'll show you all these 4 cases practically. X value is 10. Now x and x only. X value is 20. How many objects? For 10, one object gets created. For y equal x equal 20, also one object 20. Two objects, but now up to here it's fine. X is 10, x is 20. Now if I say print x, what is the x value it is going to print? What is the x
20.
value? It always prints the latest value, right? It always prints the latest value. Print id of x 90. What happens to the previous object? Whenever you say x equal 20, then the previous object is going to get removed. Previous object is not going to be available, right? It will be removed. So x equal to, understood these four cases, right? Case 1, how to print the content, the address, and the type. Case 2, two different variables xy with values 10, 20, then two different objects, two different addresses. X is 10, y is 10, z also 10. X value is 10, y value is 10, z also 10. Only one object created with only one address. Print x, print y, and print z 10. Print address of x, address of y, address of z. This one. Type of x, type of y, type of z. What type? Integer type, right? Yes. Okay. Case 4. X is 10, x is 20. The previous one gets removed and this current latest one will be existing. Now let us see this practically, right? I'll show you all these four cases practically. So just go to this where you are by, okay. Okay, just go to where your Python is available. See right. Python 3.10. Click this ideally Python shell gets open like this. In that, if you want to work with batch mode, file, new file. Okay, here you can type your code and execute the code here itself, run module. So here, what is that case 1? Defining a variable, right? Yes. X has 10. Print x, if I say 10, it prints, printing the content. If I want to print the address id, there is a function called id of x. Print the addresses, right? And if you want to print what type, it is type of x. Just observe this, save it first. File, save within the C drive, right? Python 7 AM batch. int1.py, right? Yes. Run module. 10, print x, 10, its address and its type. Its address and its type. What type? Int type. Type of x, right? Yes. So here, if we say print x, it is printing the content at 10. Address, where exactly it is stored. Type is what type? Int type. Now see this case 2 now. What is case 2? We have discussed like two different variables, 10, 20, two different objects with two different addresses, right? Okay, I'll just copy the same file, new file, another for another, right? Paste it. Case 2. Two different variables, defining two different variables with the two different values. Then two different objects gets created. Two different variables with two different values, two different objects gets created. Two different addresses, right? Yes. Two different variables with two different values, two different objects gets created with two different addresses, right? Yes. X has 10, Y has 20. Print X, address of X, type of X. Similarly, print Y, address of Y, type of Y. Can you answer, right? Address of X and address of Y, is it same or different? This address of X, address of Y, is it same or different?
Different, sir.
Different, right? Because two different values means two different objects got created with two different addresses, right? Two different objects. Run model, you check it. This is 10, print X 10. Here print Y, it is printing 20. 10, 20, right? This is the address, this is the address. Type of X, integer, integer. Both types are integer types. Two different values, two different addresses, right? Observe this case 3. Two different variables. Okay, defining two different variables with same values. Observe here, two different variables with same values. Case 3. Observe this case 3 once. This is case 3, right? X is 10, Y is 10. Two different variables with same values. Only one object, only one address. Then only one object. Then only one object gets created. Two variables with same values, only one object gets created and its address is returned to both the variables. X is 10, Y is 10. Now try to answer. X value 10, Y value 10. How many objects? Only one object. The address of X and address of Y, is it same or different? Try to answer. X address and Y address.
Same address.
It should be same, right? It must be same because the contents are same. Only one object, only one address. File save. Any name.py. Run module. What is that? 10, 10. 10, 10, right? Yes. The contents are same. The addresses are same. Types also same, right? Yes. Observe this case 4, right? Case 4. defining two variables with same name, x and x, right? Defining two variables with same name. Defining two variables with same names. Two variables with same names but with different values. Two variables with same names but with different values. Then two different objects gets created. And the previous one gets okay, just say x is 10, x is 20. Always it prints the latest value 20, right? That content, that address and its type. Okay, run module. 10, that is 20, it prints its address and its type. Always the latest. Okay, x is 10, x is 20, the latest one 21 prints, right? 4 cases understood, right, everyone? Any queries in these 4 cases? I got a query in quiz 3. 10, x is 10, y is 10. The addresses are same, right? Address of x and y, if the contents are same. If I say 10.0, now you say the address of x and y, are they same or different? Before you answer, type of y will be what type? Type of y will be what type?
Float type.
Type of x is what type?
Float type.
So here one integer object created, one float object, one integer object, one float object. The addresses will be different, right? Even the 10 and 10.0 are not same. See the addresses, different addresses. One is integer object, one is float object created. So addresses are different. Understood these 4 cases, right? What happens internally when you define a variable in Python? How to print the content, how to print their address, how to print their type. Okay, so different types, different data types I'm going to discuss, like in the tomorrow session. I'll brief you about the different data types, fundamentals and collections, right? Any queries as part of today's session? Anything related to Python, right? Okay, fine. Yeah, rules for rules for declaring variables. Yes, tomorrow I will just say what are the rules to be followed for defining variables. We have got some rules to be followed for defining variables, right? Yes, fine. I'm stopping here. So we'll continue tomorrow. More discussion on this, right? Yes. Okay.